Good afternoon, South Africa. Welcome to Afternoon Express, live on SABC3. I'm Bonnie Booley.
And I'm Jeannie Dean.
Absolutely. So today we're both wearing pink heels, and we thought it would be apt to actually have a conversation about how women who are celebrating in the loft today, who've broken stereotypes on their journey to self-determinism and autonomy. So we're going to have a fierce feminist conversation today.
Discussing feminism in pink high heels. And also, I've always been a huge advocate of the fact that I can still be taken seriously in the boardroom wearing a miniskirt. And we're going to be speaking to an unbelievable entrepreneur. Her name is Faila Ali, and actually she's dominated the dog food market. She's now supplying Woolies, and she's going to be sharing her fantastic story with us.
Absolutely. And we're joined by writer and activist Malebo Sipodi, and she's chatting to us about her new book called Misbehave.
Lots to happen on Afternoon Express today, and so little time to get through it all. So that's not all that's happening on the show. We've also got an award-winning business coach joining us in the loft. Kathi Clarke is here, and she'll be answering all of our big burning questions about how to be a successful entrepreneur and how to get the help where we need it. So if you are an entrepreneur, or perhaps an inspiring entrepreneur, and there's that little part of your business that you really need some help with, we're taking all of your questions and your comments on the show today. 083 913 3728 is the number to dial. You can also hop over to our Facebook page. We're taking all of your comments there. There's a post that was posted up earlier on this afternoon to ask you if you had any burning questions about your business. Kathi will answer those live on the show today, so make sure you head over there. And then on our Twitter page is a very interesting question we're asking in our poll today, because, you know, with South Africa being downgraded to junk status, everyone's wondering, is it the right time to start a business? And so we've asked you that exact question. I do want to start a business. I'm too scared to start a business because of the crisis that South Africa is in junk status. Or third, no, don't really want to start a business. Go and vote in our poll immediately. And then also later on in the show, I'm very excited. You've heard of skydiving. You maybe have heard of shark cage diving. Done them both, but croc cage diving? That might be coming up in Afternoon Explorers later on. So much to get through. Let's start the couch, and we'll start the show on the couch.
Malebo Sipodi is known to some as Lioness. She is a fierce activist with a focus on gender development and especially women's rights. She's also the founder of an online platform called Lady Leader, which is a safe space for women to just be.
She recently stepped into the publishing world and released her debut book called Misbehave. I love that title, by the way. And it's an account of her journey to becoming the person that she wants to be and not what society expects of her. Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Oh, I'm so excited to be
We
here.
are so happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Well, the blurb on the back of your book starts with the quote, "Well-behaved women seldom make history."
That's my favorite quote
I know.
ever.
I live by
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Me too.
What is a misbehaving woman?
You know, the first time I encountered that quote, it spoke to me. Simply because all my life, I've always felt like I've had spokespeople and I've had people tell me how to behave. And so, as you said, that this book is about my autonomy and a journey of finding myself and living how I want to live. So misbehaving is when somebody behaves out of the confines of status quo, when they do not fit within the boxes that spokespeople put them in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Tell me about the title Misbehave and your journey in writing the book.
Yeah, I mean,
because you've got a lot of fun. Your what's the word? I can't even think today. But I mean, a lot of the headlines in the book, I suppose, have got such fun titles.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a wordplay. It comes from that quote. It's by a historian, Laurel Thatcher Ulrich, where she said, well-behaved women seldom make history. And for me, I was looking at my life and my journey from a place where the way I was conditioned, the way I grew up, and the way that you see just how women are conditioned in society, right? There's a certain way that women are expected to behave. And so I was like, in the past, so if you look at Miss, a woman, her prefix always depends on her relationship to a man. So if you're married, it's Mrs., and if you're not, it's Miss. If you're a man, it's just Mr. So Miss,
yeah.
I used to be a Miss who behaved, and now I misbehave.
Your book has also been described as an accessible take on feminism, because we're finding in this discussion that's emerging and people are speaking more about what feminism means to them, there's also this kind of alienating and isolating rhetoric which makes feminists seem like they're saying, don't sit with us if you're not using these big words.
People think that feminists are angry.
Yeah. So why is this an accessible take on feminism?
Yeah, I mean, you rightly put it. Every time somebody says, I'm a feminist, there's already an idea of the type of response that they're going to receive. You're either an angry person, or people say feminism is anti-African, and there is some sort of academic rhetoric that comes with feminism and the type of words that we use that are not accessible to, I don't want to say the everyday people, but yeah, you know, they are not accessible. So for me, what was important was to write about feminist ideology, but in a very accessible way.
Absolutely.
And to use my life to ground it. And I don't mention the word feminism, by the way. I mention the themes, but I don't mention the word feminism until the last chapter. And it was very important for me to show what feminism looks like without the labeling and the boxes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you have a very rousing chapter, which I was reading during makeup, and I was so stirred. I was just feeling all this turbulence inside. And it's called Dear Black Man.
Yeah.
What is that chapter about?
Wait, first you were stirred, right?
Yeah,
so,
I was like, wow.
So did I,
She was quite emotional.
So did I do
throughout
the
reading
job
of it.
in that
You did the job. You
accessible
did
text?
you
Did I
did
do
the
the
things.
job?
You did the things.
Okay. I'm happy if you say. So please ask me the question again.
The chapter Dear Black
yeah.
Man. What was your journey through the chapter?
Yeah, so I've been doing community work since I was a kid, literally since I was 10 years old. I started off with peer counseling. And then in 2005, I started an organization for women. You know, it was called Soul Over. Bring your tears and we'll provide the tissue. We're going to make over your soul. And it was for abused women and children. And we were counseling these abused women and children. And what we found was that at the center of the pain, I mean, in that chapter, one of the stories that I talk about was a lesbian woman who was killed and raped and then murdered, right? And I found that at the center of the pain that women were going through was men. And it was the truth. Every time you sat down, it was a man. And then I wanted to find out, why is it that men do these things? Why do we find violent men? Then I went into the prisons. I went into the maximum facility, and I started working with the men. And then I found most of them so broken, and I started making excuses for them.
You were chatting to the rapists, to convicted felons.
I think that it was from a place of naivety more than boldness, because a lot of people say, oh my gosh, Malibu, you were so bold. And that's why that chapter particularly tracks my journey with violent masculinities. And what's happening in society at the moment, you know, we've been seeing this scourge of women being killed.
Yeah, and women are living under serious nervous conditions right now.
And it's not something that's new, it's something that's always existed. But so in the chapter, I explain the concepts like violent masculinities. I address the issues of why this whole not all men thing is problematic.
It's problematic, yeah.
And so it's basically my journey with violent masculinities from a place where I used to make excuses for men, because we live in a very patriarchal society.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you were saying earlier in the makeup room we were discussing, and you said it is dangerous to be a woman nowadays in South Africa, to be able to walk free and drive somewhere. You're in a very vulnerable position. I think you deserve an entire show with us just unpacking this book. Thank you so much for coming through.
Wow.
I wish we could speak to you all day.
People must buy the book.
Absolutely. Please buy the book. It's called Misbehave.
Yeah.
But just lastly, why is it problematic for men to say not all men when women want to have a conversation about how they are under threat in this country?
You know, Bonnie, we know that not all men rape. But the problem is, when you look at the statistic, there's a structural issue where women are being raped, women are being murdered. So when I say, men do this, and then you say to me, not all men, you are essentially erasing the problem here. You're erasing the problem so we can focus on you. And that's not what we need to do. You as a man, because there's a structural issue and patriarchy benefits you, you need to be the one that distracts this patriarchy. I can't stop rape, but the rapist must stop rape.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Structurally, it's men. So it's important that we get into a conversation, and that's what I'm trying to do. If you read the book, you'll feel like you're in a conversation with me. So it's important that people go out and buy the book so we could have this conversation further.
Exactly, and it only takes 3,000 books that sell to create a bestseller in South Africa.
But we must sell like
300,000.
Go get this book and find your misbehaving woman.
Good advice.
So speaking of getting your thoughts and opinions out there and starting these conversations, #Afternoon Express is where we're at all over social media. Share your thoughts with us. The whole point about being a live show and being part of our family is making sure that you guys share all your thoughts and your opinions with us. So please go and do that. And while you're on your phones, on our Facebook page, we're asking you the question. Comment below with your business-related questions or comments, because just after the ad break, we've got a very cool business coach coming to join us, Kathi Clarke. And some of the comments that came through that I wanted to read about, which we'll try and tackle on our interview. Kutala says, I have a few ideas. One is to write a book, like our guest, and the other is to create my own chocolate, but I don't know what to do or where to go. This show is going to answer all of those questions there, Kutala. Berries Koki says, having a business is such a good thing, but I'm wondering how much strength you should have to open one. Let me watch and I hope I'll find some tips. So Berries, that's exactly what we're going to be doing just after the ad break right here on Afternoon Express with Kathi Clarke, answering all your business and entrepreneurial related questions with our business coach. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go. Yo, Anga. Carlene, where you at?
Let's go to the island. Stand together, you and me. We can win this million. We're gonna find treasure by the smooth.
Yeah.
The Tropica Island of Treasure Seychelles theme song performed by MT, Anga Makubalo and Carlene van Jasveld is available for you for download. It's on iTunes and the Google Play Store. Proceeds from the song will be donated to Chuck. You can also win big when you buy Tropica. Simply follow the entry details on your Tropica bottle and find the T's and C's at tropica.co.za.
Ain't nothing smoother.
The better. Keeps us engaged. Charles, also, do you want to throw in the telephone number at the end? Or in the beginning of the intro? Maybe I should come back to the show. A warm welcome back to Afternoon Express. We're live on SABC3 on this Tuesday afternoon. Now, before the break, we met Malebo Sepodi, who has recently entered the publishing world with her first book, Misbehave. We now move our conversation to entrepreneurship, and award-winning business coach Kathi Clarke is passionate about helping you make your dreams come true. She's here to share some top tips on starting and expanding your own venture. Now, remember, we are taking your calls live. 083 913 3728 is our number. If you have any business-related questions, whether you're an entrepreneur or an inspiring entrepreneur, ask us questions live on the show today, and we'll be covering them here. Also, you can find us a comment on our Facebook page. We'll be taking those comments a little bit later on. Kathi, welcome to the Loft.
Thank you.
So entrepreneurship is such a hot topic. I mean,
it is.
Everyone's talking about it being the solution to economic crises the world over. New idea creators, people who bring teams together. We think Richard Branson, we think of all these big names. But I've heard that word crop up a lot, but I've never heard business coach crop up a lot. What is a business coach?
I think, Dan, probably the best way to explain it is to think in terms of sports. So it's about taking someone who's got talent, most importantly, not necessarily someone who's not good at what they do, but someone with talent, and then allowing them to be the best that they can be by helping, encouraging, inspiring, being an external perspective, holding them accountable, being invited to challenge them, hold up the mirror, because we know as human beings that we do much better when we are accountable to someone. And so if you think about talented sports people, Michael Phelps, Tiger Woods, all of them got to the top because they had a business coach, and it's the same with business people. You know, at the end of the day, we can't know everything, and if you want to be the best that you can be, you've almost got to invite someone in to have that view that you don't have, to hold up that mirror when you need it, to push it when you don't want to move you out of your comfort zone. And again, if you look at them, it's not about us being the ones in the pool or us being the ones on the golf course or us being the one in your business, but you staying the business owner and having someone who you are inviting to say, how am I playing the game of business?
It's quite an expensive task to go about doing. I mean, getting a business coach for oneself. And I mean, because I never really heard much about this, and should every business owner have it?
Well, the thing is when we look at businesses that do invest in a coach, they outperform businesses that don't. And the beautiful thing about business coaching, and why I think it's one of the fastest growing industries in the world today, is simply this, that if you're good as a business owner at what you do, and I'm good as a business coach at what I do, together we're going to grow the business, which is going to make the money, which is going to pay back the investment on coaching. So the thing is, it's a very cost-effective way to get help.
Yeah. Now listen, we've glamorized entrepreneurs. We've made them seem like the rock stars of the 21st century. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. But I do think there's certain things that make you specifically an entrepreneur. What does it take today to be an entrepreneur?
Well, Dan, it's quite a good question, because I do think that there is this misnomer. I think entrepreneurs need to be aware of the fact that they can often make it sound much easier than it is. So we don't, as a rule, talk necessarily too openly about the things that have gone wrong, the many times that we've failed. But the bottom line is that it is simple, but it's not easy. You need grit, you need determination, you need to be willing to put in the hard work. And it takes a while before you start getting the predictable income that you went in for in the first place, to then buy back the time to have the life that you went into business for on your own in the first place. It doesn't happen overnight, it's a process. There was a very famous business philosopher who said that it's taken 20 years to become an overnight success. And I think that's quite true. It's not a shortcut to success like a lot of people think. And it's about saying, what's the smart, right work that I need to do? And I often see people with brilliant ideas, but a brilliant idea doesn't make a business out of it. And what you've got to be able to do is to take that brilliant idea, to be disciplined, to master the competencies that you need, to put together a plan, to be very clear about where is it that I'm going, and then to do the hard yards that are going to get you there. And along the way, you're probably going to need to get some help. And that's okay. There's no shame in that. It's wise, because you can't be good at absolutely everything. It's about inviting people into that space and saying, where is a good attorney when I need one? Where is someone to help me if I'm not getting the profitable growth that I need? What are the problems that I've got and how do I solve them? Being willing and open to do that instead of seeing it as a failure.
So I've just started a brand new small business, and I think I'm starting to realize a lot of what you're saying now is ringing so true with my ventures. But I get a lot of people who approach me asking about their ventures, and they want to be entrepreneurs and don't even know what to do and how to go about it. You've had so much experience internationally, you've been awarded for doing what you do. And so I'm very interested to know what are some of the top things that entrepreneurs do wrong in their businesses.
Well, I think the first thing is to recognize that just because you're good at making and doing something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to build a sustained business out of that. Okay. So that's the first thing to realize, that that there is a series of best practice to turn what you make or do into a business. And I think the first thing around that is to say that you have to be able to generate predictable, consistent income off that thing. And if you can't generate that, you can't afford to scale, you can't afford to bring on board a team, you can't afford to put in place systems that are going to allow you to buy back the time. So when people say it's not all about the money, it is about the money. It's passion, it's about dreams, yes, but you've got to be able to say, how can I turn this thing into something that's profitable? And if that's eluding you, you need to solve that first. Because once you've got the money, once you've got a little war chest, then you can start to do what needs to be done. I think the second thing is that people forget about the fact that you've got to know clearly where am I going? What's this thing going to look like when I'm finished? And there's that wonderful movie with Matt Damon called The Martian. And I think that's got to be the most practical example of how forward planning works. Because if you can recall in that movie, he said, I'm going home from Mars. Then from there, he worked back and said, how am I going to do that? What do I need to do next? And we find that that's how the human brain works most optimally. Give it a challenge, set a destination, and work back from there. So, for example, if you're going to drive a car, you want to know, am I going to Somerset West or am I going to Botswana? Because I'm going to build differently, pack differently, get my mindset done differently. Am I building to sell? Am I building for passive income? Am I building to take over the world? Am I building to franchise? All of those need to have some clarity.
So life skill, just know what you want.
Very important. And the thing is if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to expect anyone to follow you? And if you know where you're going, one last thing which I think is really important is that if you know where you're going, you filter your environment differently. Chances avail. They come, they're there, you see things that you wouldn't ordinarily see.
What about one last tip for our viewers in terms of trying to start those businesses? Because, I mean, it is one of the most tough things to do. People have glamorized it, but it's a hard thing to go through.
Yeah, I think the thing is that if you do some research and talk to people who are already in the business that you want to build, because they'll be able to tell you what to expect, they'll be able to tell you some of the pitfalls. And I think the one reality, I mean, I have a business coach myself, is that in order to be successful, I think it's really important to be accountable to someone, whoever that is, to be accountable, to have someone, give them permission to hold up your best self.
I love that. Yeah. Kathi, we're going to have so much more time with you later on in the show to be able to answer all of these big questions. I mean, one of the greatest questions I get to South Africa is always about money. I don't have money to start a business. How do I find money to start a business? Where do I get money to start a business? All of those big questions can be answered simply by that passion, that desire to really want to achieve something and start in very small phases. Get yourself as somebody to watch and learn from, and then from there start to learn and earn, as I think the phrase that Kathi was teaching me early on. So more of your questions will be answered later on. 083 913 3728 is the number you guys can call into the show live on, or find us on Facebook, Afternoon Express, and comment there. Kathi will answer those questions later on.
Money, 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 money. Gorgeous shoes don't buy themselves. Still to come on Afternoon Express. We chat to a fantastic entrepreneur and dog food. back to Afternoon Express. Now, transformation is a buzzword on everybody's lips in the business world these days. Creating opportunities for women and historically disadvantaged people in South Africa is key to bringing about economic equality in the country.
Now, Faila Ali from Canine Pet Food is joining us in the loft today to give us some insight into the challenges and opportunities out there. Welcome to the loft, Faila.
Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Lovely to have you with us.
Now, I was so fascinated to watch your story, and it made me think about Brian Joffe as well, who's seriously one of the most, I think, incredible entrepreneurs in South Africa as well. And funny enough, he also started his business with dog food, and I'm curious to find out why dog food.
I think it was one of those things I just got kind of like steered into it. I do believe that sometimes things happen and you don't always have answers for it. But as you go along to the journey, it just kind of like falls into place. You see opportunity. And I started in pet food. Actually, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I just started teaching. And then I realized in my third year, I'm not a teacher. I don't have that patience to teach people.
Yeah.
And my father told me, you're not going to work in the shop. You're going to go find yourself a job. And I ended up at a pet food company as a junior clerk. And 17 years later, I found myself as the MD. And I'm thinking to myself, what do I do now? And it was automatically the automatic step to go on and start my own business.
Amazing.
That's incredible. I mean, and sometimes young entrepreneurs, I find, are caught in that dichotomy of, do I find something I'm passionate about and then turn it into a business? Or do I just need a great idea, and if I make enough money, I'll grow passionate about it?
Well, it depends on each person has got their own ideas and goals and what's important. And for me, it was about the challenge. Yes, money is important. I'm never going to say it's not important.
Yeah.
But it's always, the challenge always comes first before the money. Money will come, my belief is money will come automatically if you're successful in what you're doing.
I heard that the minute you got really successful, people thought you were a man, because you have to be a man to be so successful.
Yes, throughout my career, first it was the issue about being a white person compared to being a black person, and then they got the shock of their lives to actually not the guy next to me, which is the production guy. He's not the MD, she is actually the MD. So we got that out of the way. And then there was the issue about being female. Even when I was trying out funding on this new facility that we've built, I actually had and it's a senior guy in the funding, one of the funding institutions asked me, come on, Faila, be honest. This is your husband's idea, isn't it?
What?
You're joking. Seriously, that's exactly. I couldn't believe it. I thought he was joking. And I said, what do you mean? This is me. I'm here with the application.
I think it's so insulting. The one day I had bought a car a couple of years ago and somebody tweeted, Jeannie must be married to a wealthy man.
Wow. Now, despite all that she faced, Faila and her business partners have overcome everything to open up their own pet food business that is growing from strength to strength. Afternoon Express attended the opening of this.
Last year we launched the Black Industrialist Program. It was the product of a lot of discussion. And we said that we needed to find a cohort of black-owned companies that are playing in this space and take them to the next level. It's part of the efforts to promote greater inclusivity. So we're very happy to see that Woolworths has seen it fit to develop a supply development program, which is actually what we want to see across the board. And they've done it not just out of charity, but because it makes good business sense to localize this particular product. We are very supportive of the idea that bigger businesses involved in supply chain decisions should focus on localization and should also contribute to empowerment of businesses owned by historically disadvantaged people in this country.
For Woolies, where innovation is right at the heart of what we do, we have the opportunity in this facility to innovate in this space and really bring globally market-leading products to the South African consumer. There's the opportunity to create jobs in South Africa and contribute towards the growth of the South African economy. And what we're really passionate about is supporting black, women-owned businesses in line with our country's BEE codes of good practice.
K9 as an enterprise and supplier development beneficiary for us is really a prototype of what we would like to see in our supplier base. It talks to really looking at black industrialists and building manufacturing plants with high tech and high innovation. But very important in the heart of K9 is a human story that are, interacting to make a change, entrepreneurs who have a conviction, to make it happen and contributing to the economy.
The partnership with Woolworths has been really beneficial. K9 started out as obviously very small, and we only distribute to the Western Cape. So at least the platform that we've got with Woolworths takes us through the rest of the country for now, and we can distribute K9 as well into the rest of the country.
I think judging from my experience with my kids and their pet Mimo, I got a full appreciation of what this means, what K9 means. That my kids really always are concerned about what Mimo is and where Mimo sleeps. So it gets to a point where this pet is a human. And at the heart of K9 and Woolies strategy is this whole point of humanization of pet food.
Humanization is a big trend at the moment. The gap between pet food and human food is really narrowing because you would not eat something that is substandard. So you would definitely not feed your dog or your cat for that matter something that is not up to standard. It's a nutritional balanced meal that you're looking for, and basically at the end of the day you're looking for something that's natural, organic, that does not contain MSG, that's free of GMOs, etc. for your pet health.
When I think of pets, I think of partnership. They're the little furry creatures in your home that has become the babies and the kids in the house that drives you crazy at times, but they also bring companionship. It's the partnership that gets formed. It creates well-being, it creates love, and that's what I think what pets are about. It's just lovely having them part of the family.
What a fantastic success story. Congratulations. I think it's amazing. From now on, I'm only going to buy K9 pet foods. I mean, I've got to get myself a dog first, but from then.
Fazila, what is the barrier of entry for women to excel in this space of entrepreneurship?
I have found that there's a lot of opportunities, and I think our legislation makes it very easy for us to actually get funding, get opportunities. I think our biggest problem is the people behind it, people that needs to open up. And like I mentioned earlier on, somebody cannot believe that it could actually be my ideas that I want to go and get funding for. It needs to be a man's idea behind it. That, I think, was the biggest barrier that we found. And I think even despite with us being female, and yet there was the legislation to say there's all of these funds available, the people that actually needed to believe in us, they still could not believe that it was a female doing it or females doing it. They were all looking, is there a man behind it? Where's your other partner?
Where's your boss? Yeah.
Yes, which other partner? But they keep on asking, now where's the silent partner? I said, what silent partner there is?
That's so offensive.
And it's not just from one or two people, from everybody. And it was across the racial colour. It was from women as well. It wasn't just on, and that's what I'm saying. I think that was the biggest challenge.
Yeah. We did a show recently where we learned that actually Africa was leading globally as far as female entrepreneurship is concerned, and yet it's still not enough. What message would you give to younger women who want to go into business?
I think you need to be focused. It can be so easy to get distracted on small things. You need to be focused on what is your goal, where you want to go to. I visioned this company and I've seen what I want to achieve as a business. And people need to get focused, hardworking, and be honest. I think that it's going to come back to you if you buy. Don't go for quick fixes. Try and go for more long-term sustainability. Sometimes you need to step back to get where you want to be. And I cannot emphasize more than enough. If you're going to think you're going to budget for a year to fund yourself, look at 2 years, if not 3.
Sure.
Because things doesn't necessarily plan or fall into place the way you planned it.
And funny enough, a lot of people give up before that time that it hits success, because a business doesn't see a major profit in the first year.
No.
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Or 3. Thank you so much for coming through.
Congratulations again.
Thanks for the invite.
Such inspiring business stories on the show today. Keep them coming. We'd like to hear from you if you've started a business on our Facebook page. We want to know specifically if you have any questions about that small business of yours. I see Karina and Sfiso both have very similar questions. Karina's comment said, I started mine, but now I'm stuck due to capital funds not being available all the time. Customs are also such a mission, and now I feel like a failure. Are there any places to assist with capital? And Sfiso's got the same question about finances to kickstart your business. Also, a lot of questions that are coming through our Facebook page about what to do if you feel like a failure once your business hasn't succeeded. How do you get back up? All those questions will be answered later on in the show with our business coach, Kathi Clarke. She's in studio with us later on to answer all of these questions. Plus, after the break, we're talking about entrepreneurs. But what about an entrepreneur who started a business who got me into 16-degree water in a cage with crocodiles? That's coming up after the break.
Sea Harvest. New look, same great taste.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, before the break, we met an inspiring entrepreneur who's found her niche and made a success of it. Now, if you're an avid fan of interior design, then this one's for you. Renowned design and decor magazine House and Leisure teamed up with design entrepreneur power couple and founders of the Guild Group, Trevin and Julian McGowan. And they went to go and edit their latest magazine. And this husband and wife team is pretty much responsible for bringing high African design to the global market. It's the first time that the magazine has invited guest editors on board, and the result is truly remarkable.
House and Leisure celebrates South African design in a very contemporary and accessible way. We look at how people live and the things that they surround themselves with. We look at design, we look at art, we look at decor, and we package it in a way that it's commercial, accessible, but yet still aspirational. And the beauty of the project that we are on location for today is that it comes together so beautifully. For our June book, we collaborated with Trevor and Julian McGowan from the Guild Group, and it's a first for us in the history of the brand to kind of open our doors and let other people into our editorial take on how we produce a magazine. And with their help and with their collaboration, we got to be in this beautiful, spectacular home that we are today. And it's really a house that celebrates not just local design, but how local design really is stepping up and honing in on an international platform, and how it's really on par with what's happening internationally.
We established the Guild Group as a holding brand for the various platforms and companies and projects that we've been working on for nearly 15 years that really sort of has propelled and developed the South African design industry.
And we've been working with designers on many different levels, from tabletop to collectible to, you know, things that everything you'd find in your home, basically.
So it was a fantastic opportunity and a real honor to be asked by Tian to guest edit House and Leisure. He's doing an extraordinary job, so the magazine is really exciting and vital and has really changed a lot recently. There couldn't be a better time for design and art in South Africa than right now.
And a crucial time for the Guild Group. We're about to open our flagship gallery in the Silo district.
Other homes in this issue that we got to have a little sneak peek into is the home of Patricia Moroso, amazing Italian designer. Got a little voyeuristic view into her house. We got a beautiful little treat from Karen Roos from Bobbel & Sturen. She showed us in and around her personal space, so everybody knows Bobbel & Sturen and it's well established, but for the first time we got to see the things that make Karen and Koos tick. There's many beautiful homes that we've kind of crammed into one issue for you to celebrate the best of SA design.
You know, it was actually a very kind of exciting thing to curate this magazine as we would curate an exhibition or a collection of products, and we did it in a very personal way. So we really chose people who we feel are the rock stars, local, international, who've got voices that are appealing to us, who are doing work that nobody else is doing. And really the idea was to, you know, fill this magazine like a real collector's issue that you can refer back to with viewpoints, incredible images, a lot of local design, and also really in-depth articles. So it was important for us that there was proper, background information to read and to digest.
And it's been a very personal journey for us, and one that we're interested to read these stories.
That really was the primary focus, was, how do we make something that's really meaningful?
For instance, the amazing collaborations that are happening within this country that we're privy to, but not necessarily the public. So it's a real glimpse of what's happening in the industry.
So it's a real behind-the-scenes look at the industry, to things that we're privy to, that we're fascinated by, and that we hope the readers will be fascinated by too.
The beauty of House and Leisure is that we find innovative ways to present content to our readers, and by partnering with amazing, authoritative collaborators, we flesh out those concepts. And this is definitely something that we've learned from and will be doing in the future again. We feel this is a collector's issue that would resonate with our readers.
Absolutely stunning. So from houses and decor to icy cold waters and crocodiles, it's time for us to get into Afternoon Explores. Now, just before I shot this insert, I went to all my family and friends, and I told them how much I loved them. And then I left and said, "See you in a while, crocodile." I have been springboard diving, I have been skydiving, and I've even been shark cage diving. But the one thing I have not done yet is croc diving. I've been so fascinated by these reptile creatures until I found out that the survival rate of their infants is 1% because most of them get eaten by other adult crocs. Now the fun fact, these guys can jump up to 3.5 meters. This is going to be an experience like no other. So Graham, who was crazy enough to think about putting humans in a cage and having them observe crocodiles?
It all started with a young entrepreneur named Henny Bosman. He was in the shark cage diving industry for about 5 years. Got a little bit overpopulated, and he approached us for crocodile cage diving. Hence, we are the only crocodile commercial farmers in the Western Cape. He came forth with a very good business plan. We had a look at it, and today we're doing crocodile cage diving.
One of my greatest concerns in these spaces is the ethics and conservation side of things. I mean, what do people leave here learning about crocodiles?
On the croc pond tours, you will have an educated speech about commercial farming, about the natural environment of the African Nile crocodile. That's more where we explain conservation of the Nile crocodile. When we do the crocodile cage diving, it's a little bit separate because we're doing an adventurous kind of activity where we only educate you in the safety principles, not so much in the education of the African Nile crocodile.
What are the threats to the crocodiles for us being here for this croc cage diving?
What happens is a crocodile is an amphibious animal. So when our divers goes into the cage, curiosity kicks in for the crocodile. He normally comes in by his own just to see what's happening. If they don't want to come, we will give them a small feeding, which is normal for the crocs. The crocs need to eat as well. Okay, so up comes the crocs, the diver can see that, and that's that. All right, what we're going to do next is we're going to do a indemnity. After that, we're going to start kitting you out. Once we've done that, we're going to come down the dive deck. You enter the cage backwards. Go down slowly, get used to the water.
It's nice and cold. Oh, my heavens.
Now, the cage can take up to 10 people at a time, but it's only going to be you today, so you got the whole cage for yourself. In the center of the cage, you see 2 yellow lines. You grab onto the lines. So this is a freestyle dive. You go down, your body's going to have buoyancy. It wants to come up. That's what the round bars are there for you to hold on. The cage is about 2 meters deep. Right at the bottom, also round bars. Go down, hold on to the bars. The point of your whole dive is to see the African Nile crocodile in its natural form. Crocodile uses 129 muscles to snap or to close his jaws, but he's only got 3 muscles to open. Crocodiles can reach an age between 80 to 100 years, up to 800 to 900 kilograms, and a maximum of about 6 meters long. That's the African Nile crocodile. They can swim in the water up to 45 kilometers per hour, and on land they can sprint for up to 20 kilometers per hour. But they only do this for a very short distance, because they're not land hunters. So if you ever get chased by a crocodile on land, you need to run zigzag, or you run faster than your buddy. If you ever spot a crocodile lying with his mouth open, he's actually busy regulating his body temperature. The Nile crocodile has 48 teeth, and when they catch their prey, they will go back into the water and start doing a death roll. This is to break off a chunk of meat and swallow it in whole because they cannot chew on their own.
What an incredible experience. These prehistoric creatures have been here for millions of years. And wow, to be encountering them in their natural habitat with those teeth and that skin, they are one powerful creature. Wow. I feel like on those WhatsApp emojis is that face. I just wish that the insert showed you all of the details of what it feels like to be under that water with this croc on top of the cage and coming out. Probably more scary than shark cage diving. So that wraps up Afternoon Explores today on Afternoon Express. Entrepreneurs doing amazing things on the show today. After the break, we're answering your questions with our business expert and business coach, Kathi Clarke, after these.
Live scratch-free with new Head & Shoulders African Scalp Care.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express, live on SABC3. Kathy's still with us, and we're chatting entrepreneurship and job creation.
It's such an important topic, Kathy. One of the things that always pops up on our Facebook pages, and all the questions I always get asked about how to start a business, capital, capital, capital. Everyone wants to know where to find money. Why is everyone so obsessed by it, and is it important to look for?
Yes, because the bottom line is that you do need money to make money. That's the fact. You're not going to be able to start a business for free. So the thing is where do you access it if it's not easy? I was interested to hear Fazila say that even though there were challenges, she still managed to access it. So my first port of call would be to say, go and talk to people who've overcome those challenges. Find out where and how, learn from other people's experience. Second thing, when I started here, my business, I had nothing. I had no war chest, and so I worked out how am I going to get a number of potential clients into a room to sign my first 2 clients to get enough money. Cut my cloth, make sure that I can make that, and then I can expand from there. Almost like a zipper. Okay, so there's no golden ticket where you can say, go out, there's the source of funding. In my experience in Africa, it's not easy to come by, but there are people who've solved the problem. The other thing is that you have to have a profitable thing. So you have to be able to sell what you're doing to get the income to do the next step. If you can't sell what you're making or doing, that's your first problem in terms of creating sufficient money. The other reality is that there are sources out there. You've got to treat the people who are receiving your applications as customers. What are they actually looking for? Understand what they're looking for. And then you've got to be able to say, how can I make myself as attractive as possible to them? Don't take no for an answer. That's the other reality.
Be resilient.
Yeah.
There are many ways to start a business. I mean, a lot of people sometimes get themselves stuck in family businesses. Sometimes they get themselves just involved in doing something that people are like, oh, can I buy your painting that you've been making? And they're like, oh, now I've got a business. Some people drop these incredibly elaborate business plans.
What are some of the challenges you've had in your entrepreneurial
Oh gosh, my worst is banks. Like funny enough, the one biggest thing I've ever found has been my challenge has been banks and trying to get through the red tape of sort of the bureaucracy of it all.
But don't you find a lot of people shouldn't be entrepreneurs? But I think everybody likes the idea of being an entrepreneur because they don't know what it actually takes. But you know, when do you know when to continue with it if you haven't seen success in the like 2 years? Fazila said it's like 2 years to eventually see success. But then when do you know to give up?
I guess it's about test and measure doesn't lie. So I guess as a business coach, I look at people and I say, look, if you're doing the right things right and consistently, and you're not making a profit within 2 years, really, something's got to be wrong there. Some people I've counseled to just go and get a job. You're not going to make it as an entrepreneur. You need grit.
Not everyone should be an entrepreneur.
Well, that's been my experience because it does take a certain amount of grit. It takes a certain amount of tenacity. It takes the ability to get up after you've fallen down, to look at failure as a teacher, and then, just to refuse to give up. I think for me, when I look at why was I successful, necessity. I arrived in this country as a single mum. I didn't have a choice. I couldn't be what I was as an employee. And so necessity was a wonderful mother of invention. But I followed the business building rules, and there are some. So if you don't know what those are, then you need to find someone who can help you with what don't make the mistakes. Don't fumble into it and make the mistakes. There's people out there who've been awesome successes. Go and learn from them. And I mean,
are entrepreneurs willing to? That's my thing. Small businesses don't want to open their doors to people learning from them. That's one of the biggest things.
Because you're going to create competition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I wish that would change. I mean, one of the things I pride myself on being is an entrepreneurial evangelist. So I hold seminars every second month, and I tell whoever will come to them, here's how you build a business. Here's how you don't build a business. Here are the rules. Because what I found is that information is not the problem. It's what you do with that information that's the thing. So to be able to say to them, look, I've built successful businesses myself. I've done it here in a competitive environment, in the middle of a recession, without a war chest. And if I can, you can. Here are the rules that I followed.
Thank you so much for being on our show.
That's incredible. I can't stop staring.
I know. We'll be back
go
again.
back to this on YouTube and just rewatch and rewatch and rewatch.
We'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, good night. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
Happy making your own dinner.
Make money, baby. Make money.
Another feel-good production.